Guten Tag, wie geht's? Hey, it's me, Pete. I don't actually speak German, just a few words here and there. Entschuldigung and genau. Ja, genau. Ich komme aus England. Anyway, I can say all these things because nobody's here and nobody will ever watch it. So, I'm on a mini tour of my house. Let's just keep the cats out. Kids are gone, so I don't need to keep them out. They're at school. So, welcome. I really need to do some studying for my degree today. Been putting that off for the last few days. I've been reading some Alan Watts. And really, watching too much TikTok videos. So here I am, putting more stuff out into the world. So let me show you what I'm studying. Okay, religion, ethics. Okay, this module this year is religion based. Not particularly enjoying it right now, so I'm putting him off. But hey ho. I do like religion, but I just don't like studying it. Like, oh, what does this tell us about da 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 da? And it's like, you're just looking for an answer to a question that's irrelevant. But hey, I wanted a degree and I'm spending money to do it, so you know what, I might as well get a good result. Good morning. If you want to join me in meditation, please do. I am just introducing, I suppose, who I am, what I'm doing, and just randomness. So if you've got an ache or a pain, it's I tend to help people with aches and pains. If you've got aches and pains, injuries, health problems, etc., 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 you do not necessarily need, I was going to talk about morphogenic fields. You do not necessarily need pills, potions, special treatments, etc., etc. Well, you need to remember who and what we are, and what we are is the great I am, okay, capitalized I am, okay, and that is all we are. We are not, okay, I might look at myself and go, balding, middle-aged, beardy, balding, said it twice, it's definitely true. Caucasian, 6'1", 90 kilos, I'm just rattling off some attributes, dad, brother, uncle, etc., etc. We're none of these labels that we give ourselves. Useless, thick, stupid, smart, healthy, unhealthy. We are none of these things. None. Psh, nonsense. Okay, we think we are, and we then identify with the labels that we've either been given by other people or that we have given ourselves. But I think it's pretty rare that we give ourselves labels. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we do, maybe we don't, okay, but we probably do actually, but I'm just thinking about it as I say things. Right, morphogenic fields, let's talk about that. Rupert Sheldrake, to the best of my knowledge, is the person who came up with the idea of morphogenic fields. Now, what is a morphogenic field? It is, okay, so, great book on this that is not directly related to morphogenic fields, but very much is. Let me see if I can find it very quickly. It is called The Body Electric. The Body Electric is a book by a guy called Dr. Robert O. Becker. He was a medical doctor, but also did a bit of research into electromagnetism and the foundation of life. Okay. And he was chopping off frogs' legs and salamanders' tails and all that kind of stuff. And what he discovered through that actually backs up morphogenic fields. So, the animals he was dissecting and experimenting with are well famed for their ability to regenerate their own limbs, at least to an extent. So he would slice off their, back legs or tails or whatever it was, and then he would be measuring the electrical currents within their body that kind of went along with the healing process. And he would measure that. Obviously, microcurrents, microvoltages, really, really small stuff. And he was messing around with electricity and kind of going, well, how can we either improve this or slow this down? And he was doing all those kinds of things. And one of the things that he discovered, let's say my fist here is a limb that's been partially amputated, okay? And let's say I'm an animal that can regrow the phalanges, okay? It can regrow, any bones fans out there, it can regrow the phalanges. So it's been chopped off, okay? And this animal will have a natural electrical current and it will start, regrowing. But what he noticed was that outside of the animal, there was an electric field. So out here, there was an electric field that looked like fingers and toes or legs or whatever it was for that animal. Okay, there was an electric field out here. And what happened was the limb, the bit that had been chopped off that is regenerating, will form back into the electrical field around, what it should be. And if you manipulate that electrical field, you can either speed up the growth, you can stop the growth, you can kind of pause it, and all kinds of things like this. So morphogenic fields are not made up, okay? They are very much real. So Rupert Sheldrake was looking at morphogenic fields. Morphogenic fields, in essence, let's see if I can wrap this up. I haven't planned any of this, so let's see if I can wrap this up in a neat sentence or paragraph. The more times that something has been done, the more likely it will be that it happens again. The more times something has been done, the more likely, yes, okay. An example of this would be the 4-minute mile. A 4-minute mile is a really strong example of a morphogenic field. Okay, up until Roger Bannister, nobody had ever run a 4-minute mile. Everyone said you would die, your heart would explode, it's not possible. It's similar with women running a marathon. Okay, doctors were saying, look, women can't run marathons, they'll die. Okay, and lo and behold, women can run marathons, and millions and millions of people, women across the world, have run marathons since that was obviously proved incorrect. And the 4-minute mile, likewise, once it got done multiple times in the same year, and it's been, a good teenager, okay, or a very good teenager, will be able to run a 4-minute mile. So that's essentially what a morphogenic field is. Okay, humans look like we do because it's been repeated billions of times, and this is what we look like. And we have certain beliefs about what is possible for a human being, and we have certain beliefs that are not possible for a human being, and that is the morphogenic fields. Okay, this is where in 2020, I won't talk too much about it, I was like, okay, we are creating a huge morphogenic field around this thing because of all the stuff that's in the media, and the more people believe it, the more people talk about it, the more people, enhance their emotions and throw emotions into something, the bigger that morphogenic field gets and the harder it is to break away from it. So morphogenic fields, I don't know if it's the same as M fields. I saw some stuff on remote viewing this morning. I was scrolling through that, and for me, when I was reading stuff about remote viewing a few years ago, they talk about an M field. And now I don't know if the M field is the same as a morphogenic field, but it just kind of reminded me of what morphogenic fields were. So if any people who are a bit more clued up than I am about remote viewing, or remember more about it than I do, please feel free to comment and let me know. Is an M field like a morphogenic field, or are they different things? So I have a belief, okay, that I would love more people to believe. Okay, you can heal yourself. Okay, first and foremost, that's it. That's as far as it needs to go. You can heal yourself instantly. Some people aren't ready to believe that, and that's fine. I don't think I'm quite ready to have that happen on myself for whatever reason. Okay, but that's a belief I want. But the more people believe that we can heal ourselves, the more likely it is that it will happen. Morphogenic fields. Okay, body electric. We are electric beings. Our thoughts are electric. When there is an electric field, there is invariably a magnetic field. Okay, and magnetic fields, we know, obviously, they propagate, not obviously, because not everyone's done physics, but they propagate into the universe forever and ever and ever at ever decreasing powers and intensities, but essentially a thought goes off into the universe forever. So that's what it is. So let's let's create a morphogenic field of what perfect health is. This is what visualization is, guys. It all kind of ties in together. Okay, this is a very important book. And yeah, the work of Rupert Sheldrake, very, very important stuff. The work of Hal Puthoff and Russell Targ and all those kind of remote viewing type of books, Louise Hay and all that stuff. She kind of brings it all together a little bit as well. And I've tried in my own books. I probably haven't gone far enough, but it does all tie together. It's not nonsense, okay? Most people remote viewing. Okay, well, if remote viewing was nonsense, why are the CIA and the Russians doing it? Okay, in the 60s and the 70s, and they're almost certainly still doing it now at much greater effectiveness than it probably was right at the very beginning. So, if it was nonsense, governments wouldn't be investing money in it. Okay? I don't know if the UK government do, but it seems like the American government certainly did, and the Russian government certainly did. Way back when they were spying on each other a lot, and they're probably still spying quite a lot on each other, so they're probably still doing it. So anyway, meditation. Create the world you want to live in. Let's do that. Create the electric fields. Okay, so life is about electric fields. Okay, electric and magnetic fields. If we want something to regrow, this is why or one of the reasons why our bodies reject a transplant organs, because there is an electric field. Okay, it's not just the DNA. There's an electric field with that organ. That electric field is tuned like a radio to a different person. Okay, and our body goes like, "What the hell is this?" Okay, we're singing a different song. Okay, I've got an organ in me that's singing a different song. It's also why our brain, our nervous system, doesn't really recognize that. Let's say we've had our gallbladder or our appendix removed, or some other kind of organ that is not as high priority as, say, lungs and hearts, right? Okay. Our body still goes, "Where is that? Where's the gallbladder? Where's the gallbladder? I don't know where it is. It's gone missing. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?" Okay. And a person who's had an organ removed is going to be like, "What the fuck?" Okay. Stress. Okay. Their brain, their nervous system is like, there's a field for this thing, but there is nothing in it. Okay. So there's problems there. Obviously, if it's the difference between dying and not dying, get the organ removed. Get the organ replaced. Okay. But it is going to be disharmonious for your body to have that happen. But it is, I would say, probably it's better to live, right? So 6 of one, half dozen the other. So if you've got something missing, if you've got tissue, okay, I'm talking like muscle, tendon, ligaments, that is causing you pain, joints that are causing you aches and pains, organs that are not functioning as you believe they should, whether that's your brain, nervous system, heart, lungs, digestive system, liver, kidneys, etc. Okay, lymphatic systems, all that kind of stuff. You're going to create a field, okay? And the thing I want you to think about here before we begin is, I can do this. I can do this. I can. Okay? Yep. All right. So, and with a little bit of help, ta-da, me, hello, you can do this on your own, okay? I'm not going to deny it, okay? You can do this on your own. You don't need a me or a somebody like me to do this, okay? It's a question of belief, okay? And faith and trust that you can do it, okay? So it's the energy of I can, and some people need an I can, but with help, okay? Here's the help. Hey, you don't need me, but here we are. So calm yourself down. Talking to myself here. Breathe deeply. Yeah, we're going to go straight in. Imagine a cell in your body. Maybe you can't quite picture a cell, so imagine an egg. Okay, like an unfried egg. Okay, you've crack the shell, put it out in a saucepan, it's unfried. Okay, that's a cell. Okay, same thing. It's just an egg cell instead of a skin cell, but all cells are essentially, their makeup is pretty much the same, just in different quantities and different expressions. But they all have a cell membrane, they all have a nucleus, they all have mitochondria and all the ligands and chromosomes and tubules and all the other stuff that goes on in a cell. They're all much of a muchness. Okay, so just imagine one, and this one represents all cells in your body, or all cells in an area that you're having a problem. Okay, so whether it's your liver, your gut, your muscle tissues, your ligaments, bones, etc., etc. This one cell represents all. What you're going to do is you're going to reverse the aging process on that cell. That cell is maybe looking a bit old, a bit tired, not very elastic. It's a bit dehydrated, there's not enough fluids in there. The membrane has maybe started to split a little bit. Okay, we're going to give it a good clean. Okay, gently, so that it doesn't split and break apart any further, but you're going to give it a clean. You're going to clean all around the outside. Any gunk and muck around the outside is going to get scrubbed away, washed away, nice and gently. And any holes in the cell wall are going to get repaired. Any holes that are not designed to be there, at least. Okay, they're not supposed to be there. They are malfunctioning. You're going to clean those away and then repair any of the gaps in the cell, any of the gates that control toxins coming in and out of the cell, that control nutrition, ions, calcium, potassium, sodium, all these things that are going on in and out of the cell, all the hormones that are signaling the cell, the oxygen, the carbon dioxide going in and out, all of the gates, all of the processes of the cell wall that control that. You get your screwdrivers and your spanners and your hammers and your glue and all these kind of things and repair the cell wall. You're replastering, you're painting it over. Okay, redecorating the cell just like you would a house that you're refurbishing. Then we're going to move inside the cell where the mitochondria are, the things that create energy for your body. That is a 5-stage process, turning ADP and all the other bits and bobs, the iron, the sulfur, the copper, and all the other things that I cannot remember about mitochondrial function. They go through a 5-stage process and create ATP. Okay. And plus a few other things along the way. The electron transport chain. The details of it are actually irrelevant, don't need to worry about it. What you're doing is you're tuning up the engine. Okay, the mitochondria is the engine. You're going to turn it from a little 2-cylinder 500cc engine that's sputtering away, coughing out loads of black smoke down the exhaust pipe. You're going to replace them with roaring V8s that produce nothing but water and fresh air. And that happens thousands of times across every single cell in your body, with the exception of red blood cells for anyone who is being picky about this. Okay, places in your body that have exceptionally high levels of mitochondria are your retina and your heart and the muscles of the eyes. So it's anywhere that is kind of constantly in use. If you walk or run a lot, you're going to have more mitochondria in the cells of your calf muscles and your running muscles. And if you are someone who does more powerlifting, you're not going to have quite as many mitochondria. Okay? It's just, that's how our body adapts and shifts. Okay, but if every mitochondria you have is a roaring V8, it's a Formula One engine rather than a smart car that's been driven 300,000 miles. This is massive engine upgrade here. Finally, we're just going to move on to the DNA. There's a couple of things about the DNA we're going to tweak. Okay, first off, we're going to look at the telomeres. Telomeres are a bit like the plastic bits at the end of your shoelaces. Okay, the shoelaces are your DNA. The telomeres are the plastic bit at the end. They prevent it unraveling and just coming apart and doing all kinds of nonsense. Okay, telomeres naturally shorten as we age. However, we can re-lengthen them. Okay, things like walking, going out in nature, de-stressing, meditation, eating good food will help either prevent the excessive shortening of telomeres and potentially lengthen them again. Okay, so you can actually improve your biological age through habits that we have. Cool. When telomeres become too short, okay, the DNA cannot copy itself effectively. Okay, so we are going to see our telomeres re-lengthening. Okay, just see in your mind a plastic bit on the end of a shoelace, and you're just adding layers of plastic and lace, plastic and lace, plastic and lace, like a 3D printer on the end of a shoelace. Okay, and you're 3D printing shoelaces with a plastic end, making them longer and longer and longer, so that when your cell dies and replicates, when it splits apart healthily. Because if telomeres are too short, when the DNA splits to replicate, it replicates in a not such an optimal way, aging your cells, creating a cell that is less optimal. And when we re-lengthen our telomeres, we can re-optimize that genetic expression. Amazing. What we can do with our imagination is so, so cool. Just remember, you are the most powerful thing in the universe right now. I can do this, and stop telling yourself I can't. Hey, I can. And if you can't visualize anything that I've been saying, just pretend that you can until you can. I used to be like you. I used to be like, oh, I can't visualize, I can't see anything in my head, and until I started doing it regularly. Final phase, DNA. The DNA itself, not the telomeres, the massive tangly string of DNA that essentially tells us what to be, kind of. You might have heard that DNA, we only really express a tiny fraction, 1%, perhaps less than 1% of our potential genetic code, of all the codes that are held within our DNA. We're only expressing a tiny fraction of it at any one time. And the other, however many percent of it, 99, let's say for argument's sake, is junk DNA. And it's junk, it's just sitting there, doing nothing. I like to think of that junk DNA as reserve. Okay, it's a redundancy. Like in aircraft, they have multiple systems repeated over and over, and if the first one fails, the second one takes over, and if the second one fails, the third one takes over, etc., etc. And hopefully they don't all fail and we land safely. DNA is full of these redundancies. I live in the UK. It is cool and wet at the moment. So perhaps my genetic expression is optimizing for cool and wet environments. But if I was to suddenly pick myself up, stick myself on a plane and fly to Dubai or Australia or somewhere hot and sunny right now, my genetic expression would start to tune itself to hot and dry environments, which might mean that over a period of time, if I were to stay there and the weather didn't change too much, I would sweat less and conserve more sodium, whereas when I initially go over there, I would be sweating like crazy and probably getting rid of lots of salts, which I would then have to replace through food, etc., etc. Okay, I personally experienced this in Afghanistan and Iraq. When you first go to these hot countries from a cold place, you sweat buckets. But after, say, 4, 5, 6 weeks, it becomes relatively normal. It's still hot, but you sweat less. You need less water. Your genetic expression is changing constantly. Depends on your thoughts, it depends on your environment, it depends on many, many factors. Okay, so your genetic expression is changing constantly. So let's use our thoughts, let's use our imagination to optimize our genetic expression for now. Optimize our genetic expression for the healthiest version of you that you can muster at this moment. And relax. Okay. Just repeat that process, okay? Improve whatever you've improved upon again. Go into that genetic code and go, right, I'm going to improve that. Okay, now I'm going to improve it again. Okay, that gene that I've heard about that makes people sick or that runs in my family or that maybe I've had a test for, I'm going to turn that one off. I'm going to make sure that gene is never expressed in me. I'm going to make sure that gene is never expressed in my children. I'm going to put that gene so far down the list of priorities that it doesn't come into being ever again. That morphogenic field that I have heard about this gene, the methylation gene, the whatever else it is you've learned from Gary Brecker or whoever else you listen to, I am going to turn it off now. Imagine it like a switch. Off. Genetic code, gone. Changed and optimized. You cannot do this wrong. Do not fear. It is impossible to do this incorrectly. You can keep going with that for as long as you like. Just know in your heart right now that you have improved every major function of every cell in your body by doing this. Your cells are clean. They are exchanging toxins and information from outside to inside the cell perfectly. The mitochondria within the cell have been tuned up. The engines have been upgraded massively. You have more energy than you have ever felt before, or at least in a very long time. Your telomeres have lengthened, essentially making your biological age much younger. And you have optimized your genetic expression. Thank you for becoming on me thank you for coming on me. Thank you for coming on a journey with me down a mini rabbit hole of morphogenic fields, the body electric, and and many other things. So I appreciate your time and energy. Cheerio. I'll see you again another time. Bye-bye. And hello, friend.